What does it take to reach the absolute top of three completely different worlds? Bodybuilding, Hollywood, American politics. Most people never conquer even one. July 30th, 1947, a village in rural Austria. Population less than 2,000. And Arnold Schwarzenegger cried for the first time. His father, Gustav, was a local police officer, a former soldier, a man who had brought the violence of war home with him and never put it down. Gustav made his two sons compete against each other, relentlessly, physically punished them, and in his entire lifetime, never once gave Arnold a single word of encouragement. Arnold's older brother, Meinhard, was 5 years his senior. He grew up broken by the same environment, introverted, insecure. He became a truck driver. He died in a car accident at 29. Their mother, Aurelia, was the only warmth in that house, but her gentleness could not shield them from their father's fists. So what grew out of that darkness? Not bitterness, not surrender. Obsession. Arnold wanted to be strong, strong enough that no one could touch him, strong enough to leave this village behind, strong enough to build a life no one in his family had ever imagined. That obsession found its target when he was 13 years old. At 13, Arnold walked into a local cinema and watched the Hercules film starring Reg Park. On that screen, he saw something he had never seen before. A body built like armor, and a man who had used that body to become a legend. 1 year later, at 14, he found a fitness magazine in a shop window. Inside was a profile of Reg Park himself, an ordinary small-town kid who trained his way to Mr. Universe, then walked straight into the movies. In that moment, something abstract became concrete. Becoming strong was no longer just a feeling, it was a roadmap. Arnold dropped football. He plastered bodybuilding posters across his bedroom walls. He poured every hour he had into the gym. His mother, seeing a room full of half-naked men, quietly wondered if something was wrong with her son. Nothing was wrong with her son. He just knew exactly what he wanted. As training intensity grew, a simple problem emerged. He needed more food than his family could provide. His solution? Join the army. The military meant guaranteed meals, enough protein to keep building. But soon after enlisting, he received an invitation to compete in the Junior Mr. Europe bodybuilding competition. On one side, military discipline. On the other, his dream. He didn't hesitate for a second. He snuck out of the barracks under cover of night, competed, and won. Then walked straight back to camp and accepted 7 days in confinement. Worth it. Assigned to a tank unit afterward, he didn't stop. He hid gym equipment inside the tank, woke up before dawn to train in secret, until the day he accidentally drove the tank into a river. Tanks, it turns out, have no rear-view mirrors. The military decided he was a danger to his fellow soldiers. He was discharged a year early. 1 year later, at just 20 years old, he became Mr. Universe, the youngest winner in the competition's history. With no rivals left in European bodybuilding, Arnold packed what little he had and boarded a flight to America. In his pocket, $20. In his head, everything. The start was brutal. His Austrian accent made him an outsider everywhere he went. Outside the gym, he worked multiple jobs just to eat. He even worked as a bodyguard. But big muscles don't mean a small brain. With a training partner, he launched a small construction company, marketing themselves as European master bricklayers. Then, the 1971 Los Angeles earthquake hit. Construction demand exploded, and Arnold made his first serious money. He took every dollar and put it into real estate, buying an entire apartment building in Santa Monica and renting it out. He was not yet 30 years old. He had already achieved financial independence. The kid who arrived with $20 no longer needed anyone's help to survive. In 1969, 22-year-old Arnold stepped onto the Mr. Olympia stage for the first time. He finished second, but the bodybuilding world had seen enough to remember him. That same night, he met Joe Weider, the founder of the International Federation of Bodybuilders. Weider saw something in Arnold immediately. They trained together. They built new ideas around scientific training, precise nutrition, structured recovery, calculated intensity. 1 year later, Arnold came back to Mr. Olympia. This time, he won. The youngest champion in the competition's history. And from that moment, he didn't stop. 6 consecutive Mr. Olympia titles, 7 total across his career. In the history of bodybuilding, no one had ever done what he did. He was the undisputed king. But instead of monetizing his fame with supplements and online courses, he did something unexpected. He enrolled in university, earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Wisconsin. And then he looked up from the stage and aimed at Hollywood. In 1976, 29-year-old Arnold made his first film, Hercules, in New York. The reception was not kind. Producers said his physique was too extreme, his Austrian accent was impenetrable, his name was too long and too hard to pronounce. The credits listed him simply as Arnold Strong. The film bombed. Arnold himself later said it deserved to be shown in prisons as punishment. But he never once considered stopping. He followed it with Stay Hungry, which earned him a Golden Globe for Best New Actor. And then, at a charity tennis tournament, he met a journalist named Maria Shriver. She also happened to be the niece of President John F. Kennedy. That meeting gave him something rare, a partner, and it quietly planted a seed that would one day lead him somewhere no action star had ever gone. But that is a story for episode 2. A boy from a 2,000-person village in Austria. No connections, no money, no one who believed in him. Just a suffocating home, a magazine found by accident, and a decision made at 14 years old that he refused to walk back on. The cage you start in does not have to be the cage you end in. Arnold Schwarzenegger's story had barely even started, and the most unbelievable chapters were still ahead.